Hey, dímelo, dímelo, dímelo. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo se sienten? How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. We're blessed to see another day. Bienvenidos and welcome to Conciencia Talk with the Collective, of course, in partnership with We Are Me Too. My name is AJ El Kallejero Ramos, pero siempre Caballero. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. And today, we have such an amazing conversation with such amazing, extraordinary individuals. Musical guest, one of my favorite artists, in fact, PJ Sinzuela, half amazing, half doctor, half social activist, and 100% musician. PJ Sinzuela is from Puerto Rico, and you just need to remember his name. He's doing such amazing work within music, such amazing work as a doctor, and just being the activist that he is. Thank you, PJ Sinzuela, for being here. In addition to that, we have Noemi, and I just need you to please understand and remember the name. Latinx is the Puerto Rico basketball player, tastemaker, mover, influencer, actress, and has some amazing music coming up ahead. In addition to that, of course, the one and only legendary Senator Jessica Ramos from the New York State Senate in District 13, and also the chair of the Senate Labor Committee. Today's discussion, what are we going to be talking about today, AJ? Thank you for asking. Mental health, bringing awareness to the unique struggles that underrepresented groups face regarding mental illness, mental health in the United States, while the rise of COVID is at the highest among Black and Brown communities. Long-standing systematic health and social inequities have put many people from racial and ethnic minority groups at increased risk of getting sick and dying from COVID-19. The term racial and ethnic minority group includes people of color with a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences. But some experiences are common to many people within these groups, and social determinants of health have historically prevented from having fair opportunities for economic, physical, and emotional health. Thank you, everybody that's here. I want to give a big shout out to Liza, a big shout out to Lauren, and a big shout out to Chris Novo. Latinas Unidas. I've always said, women run this world. That's what my mother taught me. So let's start. PJ, how are you doing, Mr. PJ Sinzuela?
Hey AJ. Thanks for that intro. It's a pleasure to be here. And we're Me Too.
My brother, I can speak from the heart about you all day, and I think you're a perfect example of what a Latino is doing and using his impact for positive and great things happening. PJ, yo, how you been, my brother? How's everything? How's life BC before COVID, during COVID? What are you up to?
No, it's definitely changed a whole bunch. Today was 1 year 1 month in the hospital. I started working in a hospital the 1st of July due to la pandemia. Here in Ponce, Puerto Rico. That's where I'm from Ponce, which is the south of Puerto Rico. And now life has changed because we're still in quarantena right now in Puerto Rico due to the rapid growing spread of the virus here in Puerto Rico.
How's your soul? How do you feel inside? I'm on you, baby.
See, whoever doesn't speak Spanish, Sinzuela means soulless, like no shoes. But if you play with it, he knows. Soulless, like no soul. No, I'm happy right now. Personally, even though it is everything that's happening in Puerto Rico, it's very, very complicated. We had a tropical storm yesterday. We're a tropical island. And it wasn't even a hurricane, but the south and the west part of Puerto Rico, there's videos of houses basically falling, cars, rivers, flooding, and it's hard right now because in Puerto Rico, como dicen, el puño, no nos han bajado el puño. We've had terremoto, we had a hurricane, we've had problems with the government, COVID.
Y usted ahí al frente en cada batalla, siempre representando para Puerto Rico, PJ. So, gracias por todo lo que tú haces, mi bro. ¿Por qué no hablamos sobre, can you elaborate a little bit on your quote and why do you stand in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, and reflect just a little bit on the Minority Mental Health Month and why it's important to us?
I sale mi quote, I think that racism in Latin America and the United States and in Puerto Rico is very evident, and it's something that everybody should stand not only with the Black Lives Matter, but also against racism per se. I just think it's very important to that equality that we've been always searching for, that we should search for. See, I said que we've seen take part on social media and use their voice. I've always said that if you're a artist or if you're a sport o un deportista, sorry, my first language is Spanish.
Hermano, pero háblame en español.
Use your power and your social media to get...
Háblame en español.
Un poco. No, para mí es importante. Mano, si tú tienes social media o puedes llegarle a la gente, esto es muy importante, unirnos al Black Lives Matter por la solidaridad y, ¿verdad?, todo el desprecio y todo lo que ha pasado en Estados Unidos, y es importante que los latinos abren punto y apoyen a la comunidad negra en estos momentos. Nosotros que, ¿verdad?, somos caribeños y tenemos personas que son blancas como personas que son negras, pero aquí hay una mezcla de todo, y para mí es demasiado importante que los artistas, ¿verdad?, latinos como la comunidad latina completa apoye este movimiento ahora mismo en el mundo entero, incluyendo Estados Unidos.
Yo pienso que a veces, especialmente para los hombres, ¿verdad? Like, you know, the masculine mental health has always been like a stigma where, you know, we're not allowed to show our emotions, or a veces tú dices, en realidad, hace años la salud mental no era tanto para mí como es la importancia hoy. Para ti, why is it so important to touch on the spaces as Latinos?
I think it's very important because a lot of people are scared of talking about it or of looking for help, especially now that times have changed so dramatically. With COVID-19, social distancing, nosotros normales somos personas sociales, ¿entiendes? Y buscamos ese cariño y ese apoyo, y buscar ayuda profesional debe ser algo normal, no debe ser un estigma. Y ahora mismo también debe ser normal que tú llames a tus familiares y estés pendiente, porque sí, mental health is a huge issue. Está subiendo en todos los países, ¿verdad?, la situación. En Puerto Rico, por lo menos que yo vivo aquí, yo veo la diferencia sin duda alguna, y el PTSD que hay. Pues tuvimos un huracán María, llevamos con terremotos todo el año, pasan ondas tropicales, viene esto del COVID-19, y es un estigma bien estúpido de que tú no te sientas cómodo hablándolo o buscando ayuda. Lo primero es tratar también, ¿verdad?, la prevención o buscar la manera de, ¿verdad?, no tener miedo a buscar ayuda profesional.
How have you dealt with mental health? Por ejemplo, en el caso mío, yo a veces, obviamente, en lo del COVID, estamos en este roller coaster, ¿verdad? Donde, gracias a Dios, hay bendición que tengo trabajo, pero personas alrededor de mí no hay trabajo, cosas están pasando en este society, a lot of things are happening, right? So, I catch myself on this emotional roller coaster sometimes, que yo digo, déjame desconectarme, déjame meditar, déjame alinearme. How do you deal with COVID?
Yeah, I think that's very important. Meditating, getting good sleep, doing exercise, and using technology in your favor. If you're always on Twitter and everything you're reading is sad, if everything you're reading is sad and everything is a problem, you need that break. Y a veces, ¿verdad?, sometimes I get off social media and you feel like, damn, in 2 days everything can change, and then you feel off, but you need it mentally. Sometimes you just got to pull out of social media, even though you want to be part of the change and you want to be there. If you're not mentally stable or in good health personally, you can't be there. I think you have to take care first of yourself.
Tú mismo.
Y si tú tienes salud, and then you should also your close circle. Right now, I think it's very important to be aware que, ¿verdad?, esto es una conversación para mí bien seria, que hay muchos papás que se encargan de sus abuelos, o, ¿verdad?, o de papás que se encargan de mis abuelos. Y dado el social distancing, los latinos somos bien unidos. Y quizás mi papá es el que se encarga de que mi abuela se tome sus medicamentos y que vaya al doctor. Y en este momento, nosotros tenemos que usar, ¿verdad?, la tecnología in our favor and call those people you love, be in touch, chequear bien cómo están escribiendo, porque muchas veces sí hay un mensaje de personas que are trying to look for help, pero no se atreven a llamarte, de entre PJ, estoy bien triste, en verdad he pensado, no, pero si tú estás pendiente, you'll know como que hay algo distinto, and I think that's very, very important.
It's the vulnerability effect, right? A veces uno le da miedo. Yo he tenido conversaciones con personas y, hey, me siento así. Yo, me too. Okay, so I'm normal, I'm human.
It's normal, that, como que fuera de estigma, it's normal. Como que everybody has bad days, ¿verdad? Some are worse than others. Some people, ¿verdad, are depressed. Some people have different PTSD. Some people have different issues. Pero que eso es algo que a lot of people have it. Como que it's not only you. Y eso es lo difícil, que la gente don't talk about it. Es como, if you don't talk about it, pues tú te sientes que estás solo, pero no sé si a ti te pasa que a veces tú pones un tweet and suddenly gets a whole bunch of retweets. It's like, I thought I was the only one who thought like that, but a whole bunch of people are in that same circle.
That's crazy, man. Thank you, PJ. Now let's introduce the one and only. Like I said, remember this name, que esta muchacha es súper talentosa en lo que es la música, trae un diferente flow y es versátil. Now, Noemi, what's up, girl?
Dímelo, ¿cómo estás?
Todo bien, mira ese flow, mira ese estilo. ¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Cómo te trata la vida?
Me siento bien, estoy súper contenta, otro día más de vida, so no me puedo quejar.
Amén, amén. Y cuéntame, ¿cómo te ha tratado la vida durante esta cuarentena, durante COVID y todas las cosas que están pasando en este momento? Sé que tenías unos, a couple launches going and things were happening. Like, how do you feel? What's going on?
For sure, like every artist, we have, or anybody that has a job, we have a plan, we have a schedule set up. And everything changed when COVID came in. I actually moved to Puerto Rico to do some work, and I ended up staying with my family after being away for 2 years. But at first, I would say it was really tough. It was really tough to really just adjust to the whole thing about just being locked in my house for 3 months. Thankfully, I have my studio, so actually, like the power in your brain, like is everything. And I was able to really just see things from a different perspective. Like, it's so easy to see things in a negative way. I think that's like the first thing that can actually pop up in your mind. And I have practiced this thing to just look at things positive and how I can adjust my schedule and still get the best out of whatever is going on at the moment. So I was able to really just focus on my artistry and composing music and really developing my pen. And I was able to create great music. So far, so good.
I congratulate you on that, because yo pienso que lo que me pasó a mí al principio de COVID es que my routine was broken, right? My daily routines of what I did, and you start thinking about the plans that you had, and those plans are no longer there. And as time goes, you adapt and adjust, right? So congratulations on that.
Right. And then you think like, okay, like my plan is already over with. Like, then you think like your career is over. Like, I'm a person that I have suffered from anxiety and just overthinking like all my life. So I was just like, being an independent artist, I don't have like that thing from the label. So it's kind of like me and my manager just got to really like put in the work. So it's kind of like, we can't go anywhere. So what are we going to do? But hey, we fought through it, and thank God we're where we are today. So
love it. Let's go to the quote real quick. Can you elaborate a little bit on your quote, and why do you stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter? And if we can reflect a little bit on why it's important to talk about Minority Mental Health Month.
I think it's incredibly important. Being in high school, I went to St. Cloud High School in Florida, and there were not many Latinos in the school, and the people or African Americans. And I saw a lot of discrimination going on, and I saw how it affected my classmates. I saw how it would play part in how their performance was in the classroom and things like that. And it was actually like just sad to see it. And now that I'm in a place where I can, elaborate to this and use my voice to really bring attention to these areas and really fix this, because it has to be fixed. It's very important.
You talked about the anxiety, right? Which I think is, obviously, let's just address the elephant in the room. I think everybody goes through some type of anxiety. How have you dealt with it? How have you coped with it? What are some anxiety hacks, I guess?
Well, it's been tough, because I actually was medicated like all my life until like I was 17, just because I suffered from anxiety, and I didn't know why. It was kind of like just something that since I was little, didn't ever really talked about it or anything. And once I mature and I realized what working out did to me, having a routine, having a purpose, like finding your purpose, and all those things played part into all my all the decisions that I make on a daily basis, you know. So, and also I have my brother that was handicapped. He unfortunately passed away, but he passed away in my house, in my arm. So that was like another trauma in my head. So us, like, sometimes like we get hit by things that we're not ready for. So it's kind of like I practice the importance of really taking care of myself, learning when to stop, evaluate myself and all of those things. But till this day, I would tell you there's days that I struggle with it. It's not like it goes away. You just learn how to cope with it, and really, like, when it comes, how to just like snap out of it type thing, you know? So
it's crazy because like society has painted this picture, right? That, you know, we don't live a Disney life. Something's going to happen every single day, or we're always having to face a battle. Como me han dicho, toda la vida tiene solución menos la muerte. And it's just understanding what feeling you're in and saying, hey, okay, whatever I do today is going to be more than enough. This is how I feel, and just, you know, pushing through. Congratulations, and thank you for opening up to us. I appreciate you. And you're a star, by the way, okay? Everybody who's doing she's a star, just like BJ. Pero bueno, seguimos aquí. Y ahora, the one and only, Latinas winning. No, we're not related. Ella es colombiana, yo soy salvadoreño. Senator Jessica Ramos, New York State Senator in District 13.
Hello.
The chair of the Senate Labor Committee. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, AJ. Thank you so much for having me, especially to talk about something so important like mental health for our Latino community here in the United States and in New York, where unfortunately, particularly our young Latinas are exhibiting high rates of attempted suicide to the tune of 15%. And these are things that we have had to think about before the pandemic. And of course, now that we've all been quarantining and kind of trying to find our new selves amidst so much uncertainty has been very, very difficult. And so I'm really happy to be able to talk about this with you guys, and hopefully people at home are listening, and this inspires them to have conversations with their loved ones because it is such a stigma in nuestras familias, you know?
Senator Jessica Ramos, I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us for everything that you're doing. Your lane of expertise on this topic sets the tone as to why we're discussing this on the Minority Mental Health Month. I think as a Latina winning, seeing you in the Senate, it's inspiring because it's going to allow our younger generations to see that todo es posible, right? And mental health issues affect Black and Brown New Yorkers at a disparity at COVID-19 has exacerbated community trauma. Could you elaborate on this and as to what's happening, what's going on, and how can we help?
Well, look, the coronavirus, it's no secret, has wreaked havoc in communities of color. It's where we've seen the highest death rates, the highest infection rates, and now the highest unemployment rates, which are leading to the highest eviction rates. And I speak, of course, mostly from the New York perspective, where we're seeing the economic consequences of this calamity that that coronavirus has been. But ultimately, what I think we're seeing the most is that we work to the bone. And I know that this is inherently, algo bien latino es que nosotros somos muy buenos trabajadores. We're very hard workers. And we constantly put a lot of stress on our bodies and on our minds. And we're not really taught to make time for ourselves. So that's, again, something that we don't talk about in the same way that we, unfortunately, because of all the trauma from colonization hundreds of years ago to today, we have a history of separation. And that's why we're always so affectionate and so happy to see our loved ones, whether they be family or our chosen family, and it's really unfortunate. It used to be the lack of technology, right? Like, for example, when my parents came here from Colombia 40 years ago, it was hard for them to talk to my aunts and uncles. Now it's easier, but it's ICE and it's, the current president that keep our families separated. And that's really traumatic for our families. It almost feels like we've never been able to exist outside of that trauma.
Thank you so much, Senator. We're going to open up the conversations. PJ, Noemi, please, like I said, this is an open discussion. vamos a hablar. O sea, y gracias a todo el mundo que está con nosotros. Si tienen preguntas o lo que sea, por favor pónganlo en el chat. De verdad que muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're connected here with us. Iron sharpens iron. It's all about Latinos Unidos, que nunca se la han vencido. Sorry, I get excited. We have a powerful panel over here. But
Gracias.
yo pienso, ¿verdad? Igual como dijiste, Senator, I think, you know, my parents are Salvadorian. They both crossed a couple of borders to come here to the United States. And I feel like also as Latinos, we get that pressure that nosotros vemos nuestra familia llegar acá, pero también la presión entre las familias, ¿no? ¿Cuánta comparación hay entre las familias? Hey, pero ¿qué no haces esto? Why do you think we're at that point with Latin culture that we're even comparing ourselves within family? Anyone can touch up on it?
I mean, anecdotally, I would say that we are in a very big way trying to find our own identity. You know, we are proud of the sacrifices that our parents have made. We don't want to let them down. That's a lot of pressure, right? To make sure that their sacrifices weren't in vain, but we want to be ourselves too. And so, what's that line in the movie Selena? You know, you gotta be more American than the Americans. You gotta know more about you know, Pedro Infante and Frank Sinatra, and that's hard for, I think, many of us.
I was gonna say anything for Selenas, but I got the wrong line.
Yeah, I can add into that.
Please.
One of my things growing up, you know, my parents being assistant pastors, you know, and being raised a different way. I think like the way people were raised before and how they're raised now is like completely different. And growing up, there was a lot of pressure, like me going through my mental health stuff. Like I never felt like open to be able to tell my mom like what my problems were, what was really going on. And then I went ahead and medicated myself without first trying to communicate it exactly how was going on in my head, and just letting my parents try to help me before getting medicated, because getting medicated actually like just changed my mood, like 2 moods a day. Like it was really bad for me. So I encourage all those young people to really first try to like open up to your parents. And if you don't, you know, just reach out to a friend, reach out to somebody, because I went through it. So I want people to know that they're not alone.
PJ, would you like to add something?
Me toca a mí. No
pressure.
No, I think, ¿verdad? I'm gonna take the subject to another side. Pero for me, it's so important how COVID-19 has affected, ¿verdad? Immigrants, especially in United States, porque, mano, in New York, we all know que a lot of the jobs that every day you have to go, sea conserje o un hospital o drivers, are more likely to be, ¿verdad? Un latino o un negro, y ahí que empiezan, nosotros mismos somos the front line to this COVID-19 and this pandemic. Y I read an article, ¿verdad? Que we have immigrants, some of them who are illegally in the United States, ¿verdad? Que they could get sick and they're scared of going to the hospital because they're scared that los van a deportar with everything that's happening. Y para mí eso es un very, como, it's sad and it's a true, something that happens every day with immigrants en Estados Unidos, que son los que trabajan fuertemente por la economía y por la salud y por la educación que se eche para adelante Estados Unidos, and they don't get that credit, don't have, ¿verdad? Black or Latin communities no tienen la misma salud, no tienen los mismos, ¿verdad? Privilegios. Y nada, para mí es un tema bien importante tocarlo, porque si uno lo piensa, no se da cuenta que that's why Black and Latin communities are getting more infected, porque we are los primeros en estar ahí, still working and still trying to get by, porque we're getting evicted, we're getting thrown out of our jobs, ¿verdad? Thrown out of fire. Pero
that's so true. I actually I went with my friend to pick up somebody from work, and the guy was actually crying in my backseat. I didn't know who he was. I was just giving them a ride. But they don't have papers, you know, so they don't receive the benefits that some of us do. And due to all the pandemic that's going on, he had just lost his job, and he was just like crying. He was a young kid. I mean, he was like 22 or something. He was just crying because he didn't know how he was going to eat, how he was going to pay rent, how he could, you know, and we're here receiving certain benefits because of what's going on. And there's people that are not, and they're actually like hungry. They don't have food to eat and stuff like that. So I went ahead and tried to help him out. And I told him, you know, if you need to eat, like you can come to my house to eat. But definitely was really sad to see that.
Senator, do you have something to add, or should I go on to the next question?
Yeah. No, I have plenty to say on that one for sure. I represent one of the largest undocumented populations in New York. I have the most dreamers in New York. And ha sido bastante difícil porque, como dice Noemi, no califican para ninguno de los beneficios que se ofrecen al nivel estatal ni al nivel federal. They don't qualify for unemployment. They don't qualify for the pandemic unemployment insurance assistance program. And so it's created a very difficult situation because, of course, some businesses have been able to reopen, but others have not been able to reopen. And there's even more that are never going to reopen. It's been a very serious economic crisis in that way. And then at the same time, we're starting to see how billionaires have only gotten richer, you know, and so that income inequality is really rough. You know, we have more billionaires in New York today than we did before the pandemic, and we pay more taxes than they do. And so esta gente, you know, se quiebra la espalda trabajando en construcción, limpiando hospitales, ayudando a criar las familias de los ricos, limpiando casas. You know, they do all the hard work, and then a la hora del té, there's always money to bail out Wall Street, but there's no money to bail out my aunt. Why is that? You know, and that's the kind of you know, part of the problem that I think even through Black Lives Matter that we really are starting to think about, and really looking at the value in ourselves and in our community, even to tie in the mental health piece, right? Saber que nosotros, nuestro trabajo tiene valor. Y no somos desechables los Latinos. You know, before the pandemic, the statistic in New York was that a construction worker dies every 5 days. That was before the pandemic. Mostly day laborers, mostly Ecuadorian Americans, Mexicans, Latinos, and some South Asians. And look, we don't simply exist in order to work and not be able to enjoy life with our family and loved ones. That should not be a luxury. That should be part of the respect and the dignity that every single human being, you know, deserves and receives. So I think that in terms of mental health, that's where I want to see, you know, nuestra gente go and really see the value in all of the work that we have put in to help build this country, and step up and ask for our stuff. You know, we've worked hard. We deserve these things.
How do we do that? How do we do that, Senator? How do we step up, and where can we get access, and how can we help?
¿Verdad? Antes que hable la senadora.
Really
No, es que what she said for me is very important. Lo mío más como que maybe it's not that, pero I read how billionaires are getting more billions, ¿verdad? More billions, and 20% of small business are shutting down. And part of my quote, mano, el pueblo ayuda al pueblo, ¿entiendes? Buy from Black businesses, from Afro-Latino, from Latino businesses. That's very important. Shop local y igualmente, porque ahí que tú tienes poder. People think that they don't have power because you're one person, pero, mano, tú llenas un frasco gotita a gotita, ¿entiendes? Y si todo el mundo apoya, ¿verdad? Lo que es local, lo que a tus panas, si tienen un negocio, cómprale, no les pidan las cosas gratis. Uno empieza ahí, negocios, ¿verdad? De negros o de latinos, apoya porque, ¿verdad? That's el granito de arena que todo el mundo puede poner, y me imagino que la senadora tiene un poquito más para hablarle eso.
Thank you, PJ.
No, pero sí quiero añadir que como senadora les digo, y quiero que todo el mundo sepa, que las protestas funcionan, porque nos ayuda a nosotros, los que estamos tratando de hacer lo correcto, de decir, mira, que el pueblo también quiere lo mismo. De igual, para los que de pronto no estén de acuerdo, sirve de educación, de la educación pedagógica, pública que necesitamos hacer, porque no podemos tampoco temer esas conversaciones difíciles para que las personas entiendan las dificultades por las cuales estamos atravesando como latinos, como indocumentados, como personas transgénero. que sufren tanta discriminación de vivienda y de trabajo. O sea, hay tanta problemática con nuestra gente que para mí, parte de pensar de nuestra salud mental es dejar la vergüenza y encontrar el orgullo del trabajo que venimos haciendo y exigir de verdad los recursos que nos pertenecen por todo lo que hemos hecho para este país.
Y hablando de, mental health hacks, Senator, in New York, rent is insane, right? And it just gets higher and higher as things continue to. What's New York doing about this, or what are we doing about this, or how can we do this?
Nothing. The governor's doing nothing. The governor's doing a whole lot of nothing. Mira, llevamos ya 4 meses pidiendo, rogando, suplicando de que cancelen la renta. Durante la pandemia, el pico de la pandemia, congelaron las hipotecas para muchas casas y muchos edificios, pero no se ha de verdad ofrecido ningún alivio de renta para la gran mayoría de neoyorquinos. Y ese es un grave problema, porque como ya saben, el desempleo obviamente está muy alto y el subempleo es peor. A mí siempre me gusta recalcar de la forma en que medimos el empleo no refleja de verdad la economía de la calle, the New York hustle, the cash economy, which is a big part of New York, in a big part of our community. So es difícil ver cómo no hemos podido que él acepte soluciones cuando nosotros estamos tratando de encontrar dinero donde lo haya. Estamos tratando de legalizar la marihuana, estamos tratando de legalizar online sports betting, estamos tratando de encontrar dinero donde lo hay, pero no nos han colaborado de la forma que quisiéramos, y duele cuando nos dicen, no, es que no hay dinero. ¿Cómo no va a haber dinero? Es que hemos cerrado 5 hospitales aquí en Queens en los últimos 20 años. No es que nunca hay dinero para nosotros. Y ese es el problema.
We have a question from the audience. Muchísimas gracias once again a todo el mundo que está con nosotros. Conciencia Collective, partner with We Are Me Too. Thank you, PJ, Noemi, Senator, for being here. The question is, online bullying is worse than ever during COVID-19. What advice do you all have on how to deal with it? And how can we help our communities, young and old, and avoid from them committing suicide? What can we do? How can we help?
Well, online bullying is a real thing. Now that I'm growing as an artist, I am experimenting it, as far as I get comments in my Instagram like, oh, she looks like a boy. Why is she acting like a boy? Why is she so tomboy? Like, she's a girl, she shouldn't dress like this, or things like that I thought before it happened that it wouldn't affect me, and it came to a point where then I started questioning myself, like, from what people would write in the comments. And I think like my advice to the person that asked the question is like, truly find yourself in who you are, and self-value plays a big part of it. Once you understand who you are and your purpose on this world, it's kind of harder for people to come attack you and tell you something different than what you already believe in. So yeah, that will be my advice in that case.
Lo que dijo Naomi.
Last one. Senator, would you like to comment on this?
Well, sure. Look, everybody's behavior is a reflection of them, and all we can control is our own reactions. And that's, I think, something that has helped me, overcome my own stuff from time to time, is remembering that, I can only control the way I behave and the way I react to things. And everybody else does the same for them. And we should find solace in making sure that we are at peace with ourselves and how we behave and react to things. So, be strong. Know that if they're bullying, it's a reflection of them and not of how you're doing. Only you know how you're doing. If you're striving to be better every day, that's what counts.
Thank you. And I'd like to add to that as well. Go ahead, PJ. Dale tu primero.
You know, I'm just gonna add a little point that we talked about it. I think it's something that a lot of people are going through, and you need to know that you're not alone. That you should ask for help. Talk with your parents or your friends or whoever you can, or get professional help if it is really affecting you, because this is very common. It's not only you. Que sometimes you feel alone, pero ¿verdad? A mí me bulean in Spanish, but I get bullied too. I've learned how to cope with it, and now I don't really care porque I'm in a stable mindset. But it took me a while to be there and to be like, pues, I don't care. Yo tengo, ¿verdad? Un strong friends or group of friends and family, and I try to get help from where I can. Pero a lot of people are going through it. You're not by yourself, so that's very important to know and to ask for help.
Yeah. And I would say, like, the way to find yourself and get to the point that I have gotten and PJ has gone is just by creating a routine that works for you. Kind of like stop doing what you're doing and kind of try new things. Try yoga, try to read a book, try to go to the gym, try different things, and you'll see like that your thinking and your feeling will start to change, and you'll adjust your life just the way your feeling is, and then you'll start getting better.
And just to add a little bit towards
Mira, and sorry, I do want to add that I'm no doctor, pero I think that it's important to remember that the brain is as much of a part of our body as any other body part. Y de la misma forma que vamos al doctor cuando nos quebramos el brazo, if something's going on, it's okay to go seek the right doctor to tell us what's going on, or at least to just talk it out. You know,
the brain makes everything work.
Just
it
like
is
any
the
other
most powerful
doctor.
organ, so we need to take care of it. Definitely, Senator.
Yeah, and I was embarrassed to go to a psychologist and to tell my friends. I used to like lie about it and be like, "Oh, I have a dentist appointment," type thing. But then, like now, like I'm actually gonna start going again just because of everything that's going on and what's coming next. I want to be very strong and prepared, and I'm gonna go see a psychologist and just try to be the best version I can be every day.
I think in addition to that, like I said, we have to fall in love with our imperfections. There's no such thing as perfection. You know, comparison is a thief of joy. And I think social media and seeing someone else's climax season while you're on your come up, blood, sweat, and tear season could be devastating, right? In addition to that, there's 7 billion people in the world. Like, what an opinion of 1 or 2 or 3 isn't going to matter. You'll walk on water and people will say it's because you can't swim. And like Noemi mentioned, it all starts inside. Like once you start finding out what your passion and purpose and legacy in this world is, you realize what you need to do. And as long as your soul is intact and you're working on you, like the working out, like you said, I started working out. I remember when I first started working out, because I wanted a 6-pack. Now I just work out because internally it makes me feel better. So do whatever makes you feel good and live your best life, because at the end of the day, no one's paying your bills. All right.
AJ, you still look like Maluma, baby.
Hey, come on. I'm waiting for that people in Espanol top 50 next year. Can somebody help me and explain to me what is compounding behavioral health issues? Or should I just Google it?
¿Qué pasó?
Pregúntale al doctor. Ahí está el doctor.
Compounding behavioral health issues? Does anybody want to talk about that?
En verdad, no te podría decir.
You know what? Let me Google this real quick while we're here. Right? Or maybe I'll go to the next question. Hold on. Let's just Google it real quick. Give me a second. Let's see. A study released in April provides initial evidence that COVID-19 outbreak affects people mentally as well as physically. The preliminary results reveal that adults in locations more affected by COVID had distress, lower physical and mental health, and less life satisfaction. How are you guys coping and dealing with trying to look at what's happening with the cup half full as the perspective?
That's a tough one.
I think we kind of touched the subject. I think what this means is like, since the huge change of COVID-19, a lot of mental health issues have compounded, que están dando más de cantazos sin uno estar preparado.
Yeah, Yeah, and I feel like the media too, because we spend so much more time on media now, and it's more of the bad news that people post than the good news, you know? And it's like we need to talk about more of the good things that are happening in this world, because there's a lot of it. And
why is that? Why isn't good news? Why doesn't it get ratings? Why do we as humans like all that negativity? I mean, news is all negative, right? Like,
I don't know, because it doesn't make me feel good to read it. Like my mom would come in my room like, did you wash your hands? Did you do that? Like she would just be very hysterical. And I'm like, Mom, or did you watch the news? I'm like, I don't watch the news anymore. You know, the best thing I can do is just talk light into people. I feel like if we all did that, we will all feel better, and it will be less anxiety, less stress for people, because we're the ones causing it, the people that are posting all these bad media constantly.
Senator Jessica, you established a Latina suicide prevention task force bill amongst Latinas and New York residents. Can you tell us a little bit about this, and are other states adapting this?
Yeah, you know, I mentioned earlier a really troubling statistic for us in the Latinx community is that Latinas are attempting suicide to the tune of 15% of our population in the United States. And unfortunately, in New York, you know, we've really seen this firsthand. So we're trying to establish studies that allow us to have a really deep dive into the problem, so that we know where we can present solutions. But ultimately, I think the issue is that both at the state and federal level, we don't really have a mental health system in the same way that we have a healthcare system, with all of its issues. And for the record, I am a Medicare for All supporter. But you know, what we need really, I mean, look at this collective traumatic moment that we're all going through, no matter who you are, right? Not just the Latinx community, of course. And we're not really talking about mental health resources. We don't see this, you know, the federal government stepping up in this way and many other ways. It leaves a lot to be desired. And yet we're going to expect to churn the economy back up, right? And make sure it's up and running in a healthy way, slowly but surely, again, putting stress on our minds and on our bodies, because we know how hard our people end up working in terms of physical labor, and then in terms of the stress of not making enough money. That's the problem with low-wage jobs, with non-union jobs, is that the quality of life for those workers is so low, and they're more often than not in our community and undocumented.
Mm.
Thank you very much. And for everyone that's out there, they just shared our website with us. This is drkbeauty.com to have access to free therapy for those who identify as women of color in the U.S. DRK Beauty has licensed clinicians who are donating $10,000 of their community to give back to our community. Another quick question: Why do you think, like growing up in a fully Hispanic community, I went to high school, our counselors were more focused on making sure we went to college with a major. Why isn't mental health being talked about in high schools or even grammar schools? Or why isn't there enough resources or utilities for us? I guess it's for you, Senator.
Well, yeah, I'd say our priorities are skewed. I mean, why is it that we have more, you know, more security officers in schools than we have guidance counselors, you know? And that's really what we need to talk about. What is at the root of crime, for example, in trying to end that, you know, that pre-K to prison pipeline in so many communities of color like mine, you know, thinking about, you know, suspension rates. Why is it that we're trying to take kids out of school as a punishment when what they need is more school, more resources, more attention? So we I think have been thinking about this backwards for a long time, and oftentimes, of course, it's kids of color and particularly Black children who are disproportionately punished in this way. And those are kind of those are the policies that we need to change at both the education level, but also just in terms of how it is that you know, we're thinking about how the decarceral system should look like. I mean, through the Black Lives Matter movement especially, we've been talking about defunding police, for example. And I know a lot of people don't like the term, pero it actually very specifically means just that. It means taking away funding from where we've been overusing it. For example, in New York City, the NYPD budget is $6 billion. Pero we didn't have enough money to give a tablet or an iPad to every kid in New York City in order to participate in remote learning. Because in the end, that's what keeps them off the streets, right? Entonces, like, we have all of these things very backwards. It's been the reality for a very long time, but that's why exactly, we need more people from our community running for office, stepping up to serve in our community, even if it's not in a political way. I mean, I think it's beautiful how to see, some of the neighborhoods that I represent stepping up to create mutual aid. Al final, we depend on each other. We keep us safe. And that's been the sad reality for a very long time, and the pandemic has been no different. But tenemos que seguir luchando, eyes on the prize, and make sure that our voices are counted. And one last plug on this tangent, this is why it's so important to fill out the census. If you live in the United States, please fill out the census. Porque, mira, it's not just funding for a couple of months or a year, it's funding for 10 years for your public school system, for your transportation system, for your hospitals. That's where it counts. That's what matters. Every single person living in the U.S. needs to get counted in the census.
Mira, and talking a little bit about this, I'm actually very passionate about this because for me, the educational system and the health system are the two essential things for any community. Eugenio María de Hostos, el ciudadano de las Américas, he fought for education everywhere in Latin America. Él fue el primero que hizo una escuela, una universidad en República Dominicana. He fought in Chile for women to go to university. Y que nos quiten dinero en Puerto Rico, por lo menos, they're closing schools. And, ¿verdad? Y en health issues in the States, health right now is so expensive, dado el capitalismo. Pero we don't have the best health system. We don't have the best education. I learned to do my taxes at 29, 30. I still don't know how to do my taxes well. I don't know how you don't learn how to cook. Simple thing like mental health issues. Como que how to open a bank account. I don't know why don't they open a bank account with $10 to every kid in public school and start putting, qué sé yo, $5 a year, but they can see how that grows. They don't want to teach us how to save money or how to invest. And para mí, that's so essential that you're learning pre-calculus and calculus, but you don't, geometry, which is cool because I like it, pero why finance, how to, ¿verdad? Cómo arreglar tu carro, basic things, cooking, what's good for your health.
Yeah.
Since you're in 1st grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, why eat vegetables, and how to sembrar. In Puerto Rico, they've tried to do it, pero the educational system and its basis is just wrong. En verdad, Eugenio María de Hostos tenía una manera y una educación y estaba empujando por algo, pero no se dio tal y tal como quería. Y yo pienso que we need to change it from the health and the educational system. We need to defund certain things like the police and put more money into health and into free health and free education, definitivamente.
PJ, real quick, let's stay with you. Because you've been a little quiet. Talk to me what's going on in Puerto Rico, man. What do you see in the hospitals? Because, sometimes I feel that obviously we all know that the media doesn't give us the real deal sometimes. Support your local newspapers, by the way.
Sí, pues, I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I am extremely passionate about Puerto Rico. Right now, COVID-19 in Puerto Rico is en ascenso. It's growing way too much, over 300%. We didn't have any people with COVID-19 in my hospital, particularly a month and a half ago, and in most hospitals in Puerto Rico. And right now in Ponce, we have 4 major hospitals, though 4 of them have COVID-19 positive. I have personally in my hospital a couple of patients. In San Juan, in Mayagüez, there's a lot of patients that are COVID-19 positive. And at least very important for me, que Puerto Rico is not your vacation spot. That's very important. I've seen promotion for me, genocide, that people are promoting, go to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is open. It is not open. We cannot close our airport because it is federal and we don't have the power to do it. Pero people are coming to Puerto Rico if they feel, because I've seen it personally in my hospital, they feel sick, they don't know what to do, they think Puerto Rico is cheaper, so they come to Puerto Rico because $11 to come from Miami to Puerto Rico. You go to the beaches to go for a run and you see that everybody is from Estados Unidos, people from Argentina too, from other places coming to Puerto Rico because it's cheap, the weather's nice, but for me it's not a joke, and don't come vacation here. We are not ready, and a lot of things like mental health issues are still very, very vivid here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Actually, I live in Puerto Rico, and it's crazy because I live in Bayamón, which is, I'm not too far from San Juan, which is a tourist area. And I just see people just walking with no mask. Like, they come, and I've seen people going to a restaurant, they'll get upset if they tell them to put a mask on. And I feel like if it doesn't happen to one of your loved ones, they don't take it serious. And I think that's sad. We shouldn't wait for one of our loved ones to experience the COVID-19 for us to take this serious, you know. So like he said, Puerto Rico is not a vacation place at the moment, and we need to just be like that for now.
Thank you very much. We're going to wrap this up soon. I'd like to go around if PJ, Noemi, Senator, if you'd like to say a few words before we wrap it up. I want to thank you once again for being here. Thank you for everyone that's on the chat listening. Thank you. Any last minute comments? ¿Con quién comenzamos? PJ.
Yo me puedo despedir. ¿Verdad? I can talk about something because I just...
Please.
There was a viral video about doctors saying that there was a specific cure for the COVID-19 virus, which is untrue. We still need to keep using masks, social distancing, cleaning your hands. ¿Verdad? Si hay gente de Puerto Rico, for me, this is essential to clean your hands up a lot, because other than COVID-19, there's been a lot of inundations y agua, ¿verdad? De pozos por ahí. Hay otras condiciones como la leptospirosis que son bien peligrosas, así que wash your hands, social distancing, and use your mask. We, ¿verdad? Doctors, nurses, thank you to all the scientists who are trying to, ¿verdad? Get rid of this virus and working in the front line. But it's a serious virus. It's not only, it doesn't only affect your physical health, it affects your mental health. There's people who don't have COVID-19 in the hospital but can't get visitors. So I have patients who've been there for 50, 40, 60 days. I'm not kidding. And they hadn't had one visit. So it is a problem. I've said bye, or I've told loved ones that their father or sister has died, and the first thing they scream is like, fuck COVID-19. And it's not because their loved ones have COVID-19. It's because they couldn't take care of them, or they couldn't be with them for those last 30, 40, 20 days. It's a bigger issue than you think. Take it seriously and respect it.
PJ, real quick, when are we dropping some new music?
I'm gonna give you that shit August. It's like my first and last song. Yo digo porque I'm saying bye to something and my new project starting. Pero in August I dropped something very personal, so I'm excited about it. Thank you.
PJ, just want to say thank you. Gracias por todo lo que estás haciendo. You're like a role model. I always talk about you because you inspire me, the way you carry yourself, the way you make it cool to have education, the way you make it cool to stand up for your country, and how you move, right? So gracias, PJ.
No, thank you. It's an honor to be here with everybody, ¿verdad? Senator. Es un placer. Así que thanks for having me here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love you.
Te quiero, mi hermano, tú sabes. Noemi?
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to, Conciencia and mitu for this opportunity to be able to, speak on mental health and whatnot. I want to share the suicide prevention hotline as well as 1-800-273-8255. Get help, talk to your family, to your friend. Every change starts with us. So it's very important that we focus on being the best version of ourselves, be kind to one another. And slowly but surely, we'll change this world and get it how it should be. Okay, so yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much again.
Noemi, hold on. Come on, music. What's up? When are we dropping some heat? Where can they find
in
all
August?
that?
In August as well. We just worked on a few. We just worked on a few music videos, so we're just staying consistent, doing what I love, sharing my energy with the world, and hoping that I can put some light into people using my music. So yeah, August for sure.
I think you already are, and like I said, and I just want to reiterate, you're going to be a star. You already are a star. Continue to be yourself because you're inspiring others and shedding light that you can live your own life. Respect and love, and big shout to Stephanie over there. And now, to finish it off, last but not least, the one and only Miss Hunter, Jessica Ramos. Sorry, I get excited. We just gotta have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you do radio too?
I did radio for 10 years.
Eso explica todo. Pero mira, te agradezco a ti, te agradezco a ti, le agradezco a Conciencia, a mitu, everyone that's on the panel. This has been really great because these are the conversations that we really aren't used to having in our community. And these are the conversations that are going to move us forward together como familia. And this is what we need. You know, sometimes it's hard to find that Latino unity to get behind the stuff that really benefits everybody, what the public good is. But I think that if the whole reset during this pandemic has served for anything, it should have served hopefully not only for us to find a way to be better people individually, and this is where all that self-care and mental health stuff we were talking about earlier comes in, but hopefully that we figure out how is that we can stand up for each other, even the people who we haven't met, the people who we don't know, because that's what true love is, right? And that's really where we should be working from always. So peace and love to everybody, and thank you for
Thank you so much.
Esto fue de verdad.
Muchísimas gracias, Senator. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for everything that you're doing for New York. When are you dropping? When's your album dropping?
You know, I'm not. I have different talents than you guys. But hopefully, the album that I'm dropping is a bill on taxing billionaires, so I can get our people some money in their pocket. That's what we're trying to do. So if you see me out in the streets talking about excluded workers and making billionaires pay, pa eso vamos.
Is there a website or a link we can do a call to action to support you with the cause and the movement?
Yeah, check out hashtag make billionaires pay, hashtag excluded workers, because remember it's the workers that were excluded from every other benefit, usually Latino, usually undocumented. It's everybody that hustles out in the street, like street vendors, domestic workers, people who are formerly incarcerated and didn't have the employment history to qualify for unemployment. All of those folks are caught in limbo. You know, they fell through the cracks, and it's our responsibility to help them, because in the end, it helps the economy for everybody, especially in our communities, right? And it keeps our people doing the right thing. So, you know, if you can support our bill, you know, we're always marching, we're always doing all sorts of stuff. Just follow us on social media, on any channel, and stay in touch.
That's a mic drop right there. To everybody that's in the chat, thank you so much for being with us. Saludito para Tanya, Daphne, I see you, Pulso Pop, Marcy, and a big thanks to Maggie, Liza, Miss Christina Novo, and Laura Medina, and of course, we are mitu. I go by the name of AJ El Kallejero Ramos. De verdad, gracias por su paciencia. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Thank you to the amazing panelists that are here with us and the work that they're doing and shedding light and pushing culture, because juntos se logra más. You feel me? Community. It's not competition, ladies and gentlemen. We got to stick together, black and brown, Latinos unidos. So make me drop a song right now. Okay, so listen, to call to action real quick. Please.
I think you're going to have to.
You know what? We're dropping it. PJ, give me the feature. What's up? Noemi, come on. Real quick call to action. Please tell the Senate to pass changes that increase funding and access to mental health services in the second crisis for COVID-19 package. Urge House to schedule 988 suicide lifeline bill. In addition to that, please log on to nysenate.gov/legislation/bills 2019/S3806. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, gracias de corazón. And next week, Put it on your calendar, same time, 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about police brutality in Black and brown communities in the U.S. and Latin America. This was absolutely live. You guys were amazing. God bless y'all. Thank you. And we're out of here.